Hello and welcome to today's Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. I am more than delighted to be introducing you to a fellow soul sister who we went through the first season of Awakening Giants documentary filming together, and that's where we met. We met on set, didn't we, Gail?
We did, exactly.
And it's so wonderful to reconnect with you. I love the fact this show has connected me with all of my Awakening Giants again. Now, why did you put yourself through that particular process? Because it was insane. It was intense. Like, you know,
it was. And a big challenge for me as somebody who had a lot of health issues and other kinds of things, to be out there greeting the wolves and doing a challenge course and up in the mountains where the air is thinner. The challenge for me, interestingly, was in learning to receive the help that was being offered to me by my fellow giants, to really fully immerse myself in the experience. And, you know, as I suspect many of your listeners are, I am much more familiar with the giver posture.
Yes.
I'm much more familiar with that place. And it really caused me to think about, you know, someone said to me, so when you are giving, do you have a negative opinion of the people that you are offering yourself to? Do you think they are weak or less or unacceptable? And I said, well, no, of course not. And so then she said, and so why would we think that of you if you let us give to you? And it was a real awakening for me that in refusing to receive, I was denying many people the opportunity to give what they had to offer and give what they wanted to share. And that I can do a tough girl exterior, while it served me well in many circumstances, also distanced me from some people that I could let in closer to my heart if I were willing to receive.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's a lot of that right now. You know, there's a lot of people wanting to support and help, and it's so easy to say, no, it's all right, I've got this. And really, underneath, you're that swan gliding along the water.
Yep.
You know, I see a lot of those around here. We live on a boat now, so we see a lot of swans, and you just think, oh, I bet there's a lot of people right now, but you know, they're getting offered all this help and support. No, I'm all right.
Well, yeah, and you know,
nobody wins.
What it taught me also is that we give and receive in a continuous loop, and that being willing to accept help now didn't mean I always had to be in the position of being helped, or helping now didn't mean I always had to be the helper. That give and receive can be fluid. It can be an ebb and flow. And in fact, that is the natural rhythm that we are created to have in community. You know, there are times when we need hunters, there are times that we need gatherers, there are times that we need warriors, and times that we need nurturers. And so we ebb and flow into that. And what's important is for us to recognize our own internal ebb and flow so that we can match it to and connect with the people who are the natural complement to wherever we are.
Yeah. And right now it's so needed. Now, you are the Masterful Messenger, and you've been doing this for a long time, and looking at your bio, your messaging business that you have now actually started when you were 5 or 6 years old. When you look at your history, so give us a little bit of this history of how you got to do what you're doing.
Well, you know, I was very fortunate to have my grandfather as kind of my person in the world. And he was a British immigrant to the US and had this beautiful, rich voice. He was an actor by avocation. He was a clerk in a clothing store to earn his living, but he was an actor by passion. And as a child, he read the classics to me, Shakespeare and Dickens and Chaucer, and
Wow.
made those stories come alive. And what he shared with me that has stuck with me all my life is that words can do two things. Words can hurt or words can help. And it was my job in life to make sure that my words helped rather than hurt. So I became a speech and French major in college, looking at loving the language, wanted to teach as a profession and didn't find a job that was the right niche. And so I began working in nonprofit management, and particularly in grant writing and promotion and public relations, where I was using my words to help further the missions of those serving organizations. And did that for a career of 20 plus, almost 30 years. And when I retired, one of the things I realized was that I had spent my life sharing other people's messages and not my own. And that it was time now for me to be my own voice and to share what I know about giving voice to a heartfelt message with the people who also had missions and messages, the people who want to be change makers and healers and mission driven entrepreneurs, that all of us have in us a message, a kind of a core truth that my metaphor for that is it's something that God whispered into your heart before you were born.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And that you spend your life working to embody and communicate that truth in the world. And some people do it through their work, some people do it through their relationships, some through their creativity, but each of us has a speck of that divine unified truth. And it is our job to find the way to communicate that in life. And for me, it is about the messages. You know, when someone has a strong mission, if they can't get the attention of the people who are meant to fulfill the mission, if they can't make the connections with the right people, and if they can't ignite the impact that spurs people to action, the mission, the truth of that mission doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I know that my particular gift and talent, you know, we all are gifted with special, some people refer to them as superpowers, gifts, talents, gifts of the spirit. Mine is listening and speaking from the heart, and that I have a unique ability to hear the essential truth of someone's meaning and purpose and message, and to speak. And all I can say is it comes from source through me, but to speak that in a way that can be memorable and make the connections and gives that kernel of truth, those 3 magic words or those, 10 magic words that say, this is what I know, this is what's true. I have a unique ability to hear that when I listen to someone and to give them the words that speak that so that they can articulate and share that truth.
And that's just a beautiful, it's like birthing all of these messages. What a beautiful thing to be able to go and do through life, It's like God whispered to your heart, hey, Gail, you're going to help all these hundreds and thousands of people to get their message out to hundreds of thousands of people.
Exactly. And, it's interesting because I found that I was a therapist for a number of years working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault and child sexual abuse.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And what I found when I talked with them is that I had a way to frame the situation and frame what they were experiencing so that they could feel their own power. They could feel their own strength, and they could look at what had happened to them through a different lens. And I realized that it was about, I wasn't saying anything different in substance than other counselors or other supporters or whatever were saying, but that the way I put it, the unique combination of words and meaning together, somehow touched their hearts in a way that they could take it in. And I just knew that there were places in the world with people who had this burning desire to make change and be healers and share messages. And that if I could give them that gift of language, that gift of the lens that allowed them to see and speak. And it's about really having the languaging, not from the head and not from the chaos outside, but the languaging from deep in the heart, where it came from our true source.
So let's dig into the messaging piece for a minute, because this is like, this is a sandbox that I really like to play in, especially with you. You're like my favorite messaging person to play in this sandbox with. So Gail, how would you advise people, entrepreneurs that are going through their process of their journey? Like, do you have a structure for coming up with that message? Like how would you encourage the entrepreneurs watching this show right now to start getting that message in place?
Well, I think that the first thing I would advise people is to get quiet. I don't think that we can hear truth when we're running on the treadmill. And when we are having the cacophony of all the other kinds of voices that are coming at us. And certainly right now, we have voices of fear and lack and greed and anger and hatred and all of that. And it's hard to hear our truth. So the first I would say is get quiet. The next is to really go deep and listen. And I like to ask folks a question. Oprah puts it so well. She says, what is it that you know for sure? So get quiet and ask yourself, what do you know for sure? What do you know for sure about yourself, about your meaning and purpose in the world, about the product or service that you are sharing? What do you know for sure about that? And then to ask yourself, what is the ideal state that you want to move people to? What is that place that if everything were exactly as it should be, would be the reality?
Mm-hmm.
Describe that to yourself. How does it feel? What does it look like? What's the pace and the rhythm of that place? What's the sound? Is there a metaphor? For some people, the truth is, here's how you climb the mountain. For others, it's here how you rest in the meadow. But what is that truth? Where is that? And then to start just looking at and making, and when I work with clients, I first ask them, what do you know for sure? And then where does that take you? Where does that take other people that you work with? And then finding the words that have a rhythm and a resonance and are able to be remembered that talk about that. And sometimes it is about, once you know what you know for sure, then think about the people who are yearning to know that too. And what are they yearning for? For some, they're yearning for peace. For some, they're yearning for clarity. For some, they're yearning for connection. What are they yearning for? Yearning has a language all its own. And when you hear, are people yearning with sadness? Are they yearning with anticipation and joy? You can find kind of an emotional climate that works around that yearning. And then you find words that fit that emotional climate.
Fabulous. What a great little 5-step system that you've got there, guys and girls. Very
there you go.
You got that. We never know where these shows are going to go. It's I hear something and I'm like, oh, that's good. I think everybody would love that. So Gail, when you go through this process then with your clients, do you tend to do the writing for them, or do you coach and mentor and then they go and write the words? How do you tend to work?
We do a combination of that, Sammy. The idea certainly is to start first in getting the essence and being able to articulate that and finding a core phrase or set of phrases. I call it your brand dictionary or your message dictionary, the things that most express what it is that you're about, your meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
And we work through that. And I generally like to work with people for about 3 months in working that through, trying it on, because, when folks are in business, they have various ways that they have to articulate their message. They're looking for perhaps a title for their business, a signature talk, a tagline, a piece for a pitch in terms of what connects with their audience. So we kind of develop a brand vocabulary or a brand dictionary to do that. And then I help them to look at how they take themselves through those 5 steps to craft messages from that point on. Once they have a firm grasp on, okay, this is it, this is me, this is who I want. Because part of what we know is that people don't stand in one place for very long. I'll bet that every business owner that is now doing something slightly different in their business than they were when they started out.
Yeah.
And so they might need to shift language. So sometimes people come back to me and say, this worked great when I was doing this, but it doesn't quite get it for that. And so we shift the language, we do a little bit. But the idea is for people to be able to do it for themselves, to have a touchstone or a checklist that says, am I getting it? Is it there? And when people have the message that resonates, the message that's their true message, there's a vibration that they feel, an energy that they feel, a frequency, if you will, moving to a higher frequency. When people are speaking their passion, their purpose, and the language that connects that passion and purpose to the people they're meant to connect with, it's like the circuit is completed and the power comes on. And that's what we're working toward.
And it's so powerful. It literally is so powerful. When you master that message, it is so, so powerful because people get it. And if people get it, then they can repeat it and they can share it because it's memorable. And then you've got a brand because your brand is what other people say it is when you're not there. So if you're not taking control of your message, then somebody else is somehow, somewhere. Right. And is it different every time someone shares it? And even worse, is it different every time the words come out of your mouth? That question that most people dread is, what do you do? And something different comes out each and every time. Well, it's an opportunity to work on that messaging to make sure that it is consistent. Consistency creates trust. Trust creates credibility. Credibility creates connection. Connection creates that conversation. conversation creates the cash flow, because conversation is where the conversion is.
And I have taken to, because of my process and how I ask the questions, I have taken to, instead of asking people when I meet them, what do you do? I ask them, what do you know for sure?
It's such a good
What
question.
do you know for sure in your heart?
Yeah.
Because then we, we transcend, we stop talking about methods and methodologies and machines and all of that. And we get to what I do is create this, is offer this. What I know for sure is I feel this yearning. And this is the yearning that speaks to me and that I want to speak to others. So I ask people, what do you know for sure?
That's such a good question. Really, really good question. And I bet it gets such a different response to, I'm an accountant, I'm a whatever.
Yeah, it's like when somebody says, when I say, what do you know for sure? Their first response is not, well, I can do Reiki and I can do hypnosis and I do craniosacral therapy. It's what I know for sure is that the body is the seat of the soul, and that I can bring touch that can heal and that can make people feel whole in themselves. That's what they know for sure.
Yeah.
The rest is
Much
how they
more
get
powerful.
it, how they deliver it.
Well, because you get the opportunity then to say, wow, that's so interesting. Tell me how you do that. You're creating a conversation.
Exactly.
You're building connection. So Gail, like what are you up to these days? How are you delivering this? Do you do this as like a group coaching thing? Is it a one-to-one?
I am working at developing a group coaching program.
Fabulous.
And what I've done, Sammy, is, for a number of years, I was really doing this as a paid for you service. I was subcontracting with folks and writing people's copy for them and doing all that. And I realized that I was dealing kind of beneath the surface, because it was, here's your product, here's your product, here's your product. And it wasn't getting to, here's how you master your message. And I also realized that there was a deeper truth, which is I need to be the messenger for heart-centered messaging.
Yeah.
So I am doing more inspirational, transformational speaking, like talking with you on this interview. And, I say there is a change. What I want to be a catalyst for a change in consciousness, which is that the language that we need to be speaking with and connecting with is the language of the heart. And there is a way to speak and listen from the heart that is more powerful, more genuine, and more transformational for ourselves and the world. And so I need to get people to understand that. And whether I am the agent of teaching them to speak from the heart or not, for them to know that that's the language that they need to have for themselves, and that they need to use they need to listen with the heart's ear to what's coming to them. Because it's not just about a business message, it's about a way of being in the world.
Yeah.
And, one of the things I say, and it's really true, is when you master your message, meaning that God whisper in your ear, when you master the way to hear and speak that, you master your life. You live a life of meaning and purpose. You live a life of service. You live a life of contributing to the great whole and the great unity, the great community that we're meant to create in this world.
I'm getting that down as a banner there. When you master your message, you master your life and live a life of contributing to the greater community. I think that's what a beautiful thing to do. And it's service.
It's so aligned with your one drop movement.
It is.
That when you master your message, what you understand is what your one drop is.
Yeah.
That's going to go into that ocean, that's going to create that ripple. So we're speaking the same language with a different metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Gail, this show is called Confessions of a Global Changemaker. So let's get into your confession and tell us of a time or a big mistake, something that we can all learn from you that you've done in your business career as you've been growing your business and taking your message to the world. Like, what's one thing that you've done that you'd never, ever, ever do it that way again?
Well, one thing I've done that I'd never ever do that way again is wait so long to be doing this, because I spent a lot of years doing it for other people's agendas, and I was very successful for that, and was able to contribute to a lot of meaningful work, but it wasn't the thing I was most meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so to start doing what I was most meant to do at 65 years old rather than at 45 years old means I've had to, I'm compressing a lot into a time frame. So that's one thing. The other that really came to me was that because I have a lot of physical issues, I did a lot of living in my head rather than living in my body, living in my heart. And what that meant was that I was speaking from my head.
Right.
So I was teaching and instructing rather than connecting, rather than transforming. And so I really had to learn to distinguish between the head voice and the heart voice. And I still have moments where I want to retreat and be safe in the head voice. I retreat to be the voice, the well-trusted number two. Boy, I knew how to be that well-trusted number two and put somebody else out on the stage. And that was a really, really safe place to be.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It wasn't what I was meant to do. I was meant to be the messenger about speaking from the heart's voice. I was meant to be the agent that enabled others to speak from their heart's voice, not just to translate their heart's voice and hand it to them on a piece of paper, but to enable them to speak from that place. And so I constantly have that, when I initially put together a program or a speech or something else, I find myself retreating to that instructor place, that safe, whatever. And I know that what I used to do was do presentations that had a lot of information with a tinge of inspiration. Now what I need to do is have talks that have inspiration and transformation with the information underneath that supports it. But the primary thing is the transformation, the inspiration, the ignition of passion and power about the heart's voice. And so that, if I had it to do over again, I would not be number two for so very long. And I would have gotten out of my head and into my heart a whole lot sooner.
Well, I learned that the hard way as well. I completely resonate with you. And, I guess my biggest worry or concern for people right now in the world is that, a time where so many people are starting businesses, becoming consultants or trainers, teachers, gurus, information marketeers, thought leaders. There's more people than ever before now. There aren't as many jobs as there were. Lots of companies, they're making 0-hour contracts. People are having to position themselves in a way that they've never had to kind of fight for that positioning so much before, and that's only going to get bigger. So in a world where, you know, you can choose to be in the sea of sameness, or you can choose to be recognized and counted and stand up in your power, your brand power, and be positioned really well. There's never been that greater time than now in history where you can reach so many with so little. Like, you could make one video and have, you know, 5,000 people see that video very quickly, or 5 million people can see that video very quickly. And the message that's inside that video is either going to attract your ideal customers or it's going to repel them.
Well, exactly. And you know, the thing is, what you want is not the thing that's going to just attract and entice them for the moment,
Yeah.
but the thing that is going to stay in them to call them back to you again and again. It's about, there is a resonance and a rhythm and a reality to speaking from the heart,
Yeah,
that is very different than what comes from the head or what comes from other kinds of voices. And so what you want to do is be able to have those words, that clear, precise articulation of the heart of you and the heart of what you do, that calls people back to you, that people remember. Because not everybody who sees your video the first time needs you that moment. Not everybody is ready for you. But if you planted a seed, if you planted a kernel that sits and resides in their hearts, they will find that resonance when they're ready to find you.
beautiful. I love that. Gail, like, we're coming to the end of the interview right now. And for those of you that are just joining us, do go back and watch the beginning if you get time. Victoria, send me a message. We'll get you that one drop. Don't worry, that you can order your one drop still. The world is still turning. We can still get you your one drop.
Absolutely.
Gail's got her one drop.
I do.
So Gail, what's your next steps? Like, what are we going to see from Gail in the next 3 to 6 months? What world are you going to create while the world is on pause?
You are going to see more of me on more platforms like this one. You're going to see me reaching out and touching more folks who have informational and transformational messages.
Yeah.
You're going to see an online course that I'm working on developing now that can give you some of the basic fundamentals. And you are going to see an invitation for my big mission, which is that over the next trajectory of my work life, I turned 69 in October. So I figure that I have a few good years left. I want to work with 500 global change makers who will influence 100 million people for good. So I want to select those 500 people who are going to reach a minimum of 200,000 people or more with their transformational message. So be looking for an invitation to be among those folks who have some special work with me. But really? I want to make sure that the kind of the course and the group work where folks can kind of get a start and get a feel for this work is out there first, and then be looking for those 500 folks who are really really having that powerful mission and intention to change the world, and who just haven't quite landed on the message that's going to be the connector for them.
Fabulous. Well, we'll have to get you back on the show when you launch that, and you have to come back and tell us what you've been doing and how you did it, because I'm sure lots of people will want to know. Victoria says, I want to impact 12 million people this year in a positive way. Do I qualify? I think you might qualify.
I think you do. Absolutely.
I think that's a definite yes, Victoria. Gail, is there anything that you would love to leave the viewers with today? Any last minute message that you would like to impart?
Well, the last minute message I have is that we are living in a time where there are many voices and a lot of noise around us that are what we refer to in the woo-woo world as low vibration. Voices of lack and fear and anger and frustration. And
yeah.
I would just invite everybody to find the time to slow down without resisting the slowdown, to welcome the slowdown into themselves as an opportunity to hear the voice of their own heart and to listen for the truth that God whispered to you, because it's a truth that needs to be in the world. And you can't share it until you hear it.
I think that's beautiful. What a brilliant thing to end on, Gail. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Your light and bringing your love and your generosity and your spirit and your heart and your message to us today. And for those of you that have never met Gail or seen Gail before, sounds like you're going to be seeing a whole lot more of Gail. And we've got, of course, the Awakening Giants documentary is coming very soon. So you're going to get to see Gail live on the big screen, doing her stuff, going through all of her breakthroughs and her breakdowns and snot bubbles. I don't know if you had snot bubbles.
Yeah, there was a little of that. I'm not sure what they captured, but there was some of that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to show. None of us know what they're going to show. Who knows? It's going to be a surprise. It goes live. But Gail, thank you so much. I look forward to supporting you on your journey, and over in the Brand Builders Club, having you really share this message with the brand builders and partner with them to get your message out to the world in a faster way. You've got nearly 200 amazing brand builders in there with networks, and each of them are all on a mission to go beyond the numbers that you said there. So they need you in their life. They need to see a lot more of Gail, and let's talk about how we can get you in front of them in a bigger way.
Thanks so much, Sammy. It was great to talk to you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you to those of you that have listened in today. We've got some exciting shows coming up again. We've got a weekend off. So we can have a lay-in if that's what you want to do. Not quite sure what you're all up to this weekend, but I'm sending you big love for a joy-filled weekend, filled with rest, hopefully. We have the amazing Brigitta Keane here with us on Monday. Brigitta is the laughter liberator. She is creating a laughter liberation movement, and she is launching her Laughterthon on Monday. So we're going to be hearing from Brigitta on the day that she launches her Laughterthon. It's 21 days at $1 a day, and just 3 points throughout the day. She's going to just have us in fits of laughter. So I've joined it. I'm definitely going to.
I love that.
Oh, definitely. She's just gonna. And what I love about Brigitta is she's not only going to get you laughing, doing like the laughter yoga, and she's got different various laughter techniques that we're going to go through every day. What I really love is that she's also, with each little laughter session throughout the day, she's also going to train us on what that laughter is actually doing to our body. The chemicals and the scientific background of this, and just like all this stuff. So yeah, look out for Brigitta on Monday, and I do highly suggest you go to Eventbrite, look for her Laughterthon, get signed up. $21 in 21 days. It'll be a brilliant investment, especially at a time like this. How better to
Boy, we can all use a lot of that.
laugh your way to masterful messaging. There you go.
There you go.
So take care. I'm sending you all lots and lots of love. We'll be back on Monday, and we have a brilliant challenge that's coming up starting on Monday, the 13th of April as well. So do look out for that information. It is called Show Me the Money. So we're going to dig into the treasure that you have in your business. We're going to find out where's the real value in your product or your idea. And within 7 days, you're going to be getting shit done, because we like to get shit done. So
absolutely
get prepared for that, and have an amazing weekend. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Sending you love. Thank you so much, Gail. From my drop to yours, hugging you drop to drop virtually right now.
Okay, good.
See you later.
Bye, Tammy.
Bye.